So I think particularly as I've gone through the back end of my 20s, something that always is on my mind is just how much the people around me have changed compared to like the back end of my teenage years going into my early 20s. If I look at the friends I have now compared to when I was kind of going in my early 20s, it couldn't be any more different. When I was in my early 20s, I basically had a group of friends from athletics. There was probably a group of about 20 of us, whereas now that's dwindled down significantly to kind of a core group of key friends from different areas of life, whether it be kind of the care work that I've done historically, to kind of the physio that I have, to kind of work friends, to people that I've just met through other sports, or even just kind of the odd childhood friends that I've still kept in contact with all of these years. It's completely changed. But I guess one of the points I wanted to touch upon is, I think as I've gone through that period, there was a period of time where it felt like I didn't have anyone and I was very much by myself. From my point of view, probably about 4 years ago now, I went through a period, it was kind of during COVID, where I had come out of a really, really difficult relationship at the time. Obviously, a friend had died, and then on top of that, just with the way COVID was, you couldn't go out and see anyone. And I think because of that period, I lost a lot of friendships, and obviously going through the process of buying my first home, it felt like I had dwindled away from the friendship groups that I had. Now, I think a lot of you can probably relate to this. When you're going through a period of significant change in your life, you often find that the people and friends you have around you also change with that. Some people will stick with you. Oftentimes, people will go their own separate ways, because as you embrace change, you as a result change as a person. And so the person that your friends became accustomed to is now completely different, and so they choose to distance themselves. So I think one of the points to take into account in terms of understanding why you've ended up with no friends, in part can just be due to personal growth. You are changing as a person to adapt to the changes around you, whether that be buying a home, whether it be that career move that you need to make. And so as a result of that, you become distant with the people you were probably once very close with. Now, I think a mistake a lot of men make, particularly when it goes into their 20s, is just knowing when to let go of negative habits, whether that be drinking, whether that be staying in all day and gaming, whether that be just sat on the couch all day doing nothing. These are all counterproductive habits that, for men especially when you're going through your 20s, which should be a period of growth and development and expanding your social network, can be completely destructive. I mean, I think I can vouch for this from personal experience. Going through my kind of teenage years, I absolutely loved my gaming. I was kind of in that generation where, particularly in my early teenage years, kind of Xbox 360 and PS3, the idea of kind of Xbox Live and whatever the network was for PS3, that was the thing. That was the thing that we all used to do, whether it was playing Zombies or Call of Duty or Halo 3. That was the social cool thing to do at the time. But then as I approached the back end of my teenage years, I realised that actually I kind of wanted to experience life a bit more. I didn't want to be sat inside all day just gaming with friends that I would potentially grow away from anyway. And then on top of that, I think when I got to the back end of my 20s, I experienced athletics and I appreciated the level of friendship that I gained through doing athletics. And so because of that, I kind of grew out of that phase of gaming and got out more, to experience life more rather than just sat behind a computer screen or a TV screen for a lot of you. And I think on the topic of gaming, it's always said, for men especially, you either kind of let go of it as you approach your 20s, or you just continue with it as a habit. I mean, I know people who still game religiously, which from my point of view, I can't understand the benefit of it, but each is their own. But I guess on that, you know, if you are in a position where you are approaching the back end of your 20s and you just feel that you've become quite lonely, or a lot of the people around you have disappeared, I think a point to take into account is actually, how are you going about living your life, and are you potentially adopting habits that are counterintuitive to developing those social connections with people in real life? Now, I suppose the question you are probably asking yourself is ultimately, why is all of this so important? And the thing you have to take into account, and you'll often hear this said a lot of the time, is that as you get older, naturally your ability to form new friendships does become trickier in a lot of ways. I'd alluded to it in a previous video, but when it comes to friendship groups, you know, by the time you get into your late 20s, a lot of friendship groups are already kind of formed and fully developed by that point. And a lot of the time, those friendship groups may be hesitant to let a new person in, which is completely understandable. The other element is just at a more human level. You know, as human beings, we're not designed to be on our own every single day, all of the time. It's not healthy. I know there's been studies that have been published that kind of make mention that loneliness and isolation can be just as bad for your health as smoking like something like 15 cigarettes a day. Now, I think the other point you have to take into account is just communication. You know, if you're on your own every single day and you're not having that regular dialogue with other people, you don't get that opportunity to practice social skills, practice the art of communication, which I would make the argument is probably the most important life skill to have, is your ability to communicate with others, your ability to be able to convey an argument to others, the ability to be able to express yourself. All of that comes through practice. All of that comes through social interactions that you have with people on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't necessarily have to be formal. It can just be casual conversation. But if you starve yourself of the opportunity to have those conversations, then you will naturally become underdeveloped by comparison to those people that do give themselves the opportunity to do so. I guess the key message to really get across in all of this is just be able to strike a balance. Yes, there are periods where it is absolutely beneficial to have that time to yourself, whether that's just being able to be reflective on everything that's going on, being able to recharge. I'm kind of guilty of that, if you want to call it. I like the opportunity to be by myself, to recharge the social batteries. I know a lot of people are the same. But at the same time, it's important to have that balance between, yes, being by yourself for periods of time, but also giving yourself the opportunity to integrate and meet other people.